it happened. God damn it. Oh my God, man. Like some amazing stuff has just been announced that kind of
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. What I am saying is, today is Wednesday. It's On Cooldown, the weekly WoW news show or opinion piece video, whatever it is. But we had a lot of news and happenings over the last 3 days, I would say. And we have to get into it. Starting it off first with the fact that we'll have another season in Shadowlands, not just any season.
That was new.
Okay, get into it, and I'm gonna get into it because it involves so many things.
We talked about so many times about all of the dungeons that we don't have enough dungeons in terms of the Mythic Plus content.
Hold up, before you get into that, let me play you guys a clip from a while back.
If instead they took the 8 dungeons that we have today and they added 2 Legion dungeons like that to the season, as in counting for score and everything.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah. It's like, season 3, here's Vault of the Wardens, or whatever, or
they could do
here's Freehold or whatever.
They could do a rotational thing, which each season, bring in different dungeons from the past. That would be really cool. I think we talked about this. Fun. I think in the first episode a little bit when we're touching on Legion 10. Okay, it's such a wasted opportunity with all the dungeons released in the past. Did you see that? Okay, Flame, go.
All right, so we've been talking about ever since probably Legion Pass that the Mythic Plus content is not enough to go from season to season, because every season we get a new tier and so on of raiding, and PvP is kind of in the same boat, because we should probably get new arenas more often than we do, like once or twice per expansion. That's definitely not enough, but hey, we do what we do. And now it's been announced that we're gonna have a season 4, which is already indicative of how long we're gonna have to wait for 10.0, which is something that you're gonna be touching on, and how essentially, let's say, aware they are of this issue. I mean, they probably were aware of the fact that, Mythic Plus is kind of like a stale content, a stale endgame content, and now they're adding more dungeons from past expansions into the Mythic Plus, like stuff like Old Karazhan and the 2 Wings from Legion. We have Mechagon as well. I know you like to farm that bike. And so we're gonna have some WAD, and it doesn't really matter exactly what we'll have, but we're gonna have 8 new dungeons, which is good because that almost doubles the pool, since up until they've made Tazavesh into a 2-wing dungeon, we had 8 still. So that essentially refreshes it. That also means that we're gonna have a very long time for the patch, and I'll let you because you had a prediction that I actually hoped it wouldn't come true.
This is the thing, okay? So on April the 19th, we're gonna have the announcement for the new expansion, okay? That would imply, traditionally at least, that the alpha or beta, depends on what the state is, what the state of development is on that expansion, would come in May. All right. Now, we won't see that necessarily as new content for the players, but it kind of indirectly is, right? Because you're at that point a little bit more in deep within the current season. You're going to get past it a little bit, and I can probably speculate on a 9.2.5 release date somewhere in the summer, maybe at the end of August, maybe at the end of July, somewhere in that area. Now, if that patch releases, then maybe after a week or 2, you could see the 4th season of Shadowlands kicking in. And this would imply, in my logical brain, that Shadowlands will end probably November, December, with the new expansion being planned to be released in 2023. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense for this 4th season to be in. If you think about it, this would be a feature that would be heavily marketed within a new expansion. But due to the fact that I'm pretty sure they kind of realized they cannot, presumably launch it this year, adding a new season in Shadowlands with a really cool mix-up. I just fucking love this, right? Because you saw the clip, right? This is not something that has come from left field. People have been talking about this, bringing in older dungeons into the Mythic Plus pool since, not forever, but since a long time, okay? Having a new season with more, mind you, there's more dungeons now. So it's not like you're going to farm the same old the time. No, you're going to have the same old, plus more. And that automatically implies that you'll have a longer time to get into it, at least in terms of the Mythic Plus. Obviously, I don't think we're going to have any new raid at this point.
Probably
or mini
not,
raid.
no, that would mean...
Yeah, but it is like a new season for Mythic Plus and a new season for arenas. You mentioned PvP. I think at some point they have to do something similar to PvP as well.
They're gonna have to do it, nerds. And to everybody who's saying that this is not new content, listen, we have to choose a side, let's say, because we've had people saying like, oh my god, there's all this cool old content that we never get to do anymore, and then it's like, oh my god, we need new content.
Yeah, no, it's smart.
We know that this is not particularly new content. However, you do need a little bit of a perspective. It's 8 dungeons where it could have been like 1 or maximum 2 new dungeons, which are a little bit unrealistic to happen this late into an expansion. So it's likely that we would have never had that. So having 8 dungeons that are old, that's good, because remember the time walking Mythic Plus from Legion that we had a couple of months back?
I love that.
That added new rings and trinkets that kind of changed the loot table a little bit, and that was actually really cool.
It was refreshing.
Sure, you farmed those years back, but now when put into the context of Shadowlands and with everything crazy going on right now with double legendaries and tier sets, who knows what is going to be good. And at the very least, we're going to have like almost double the items, which will make Vault a little bit crazy. But I mean, what else are we going to do up until 10.0?
Now, regardless where you stand on this line where, okay, they aren't able to produce new content and they're gonna just bring back old one, I don't think this is necessarily the smart thing to say at this point, because this is a very good, I would say, seed to have them enable all their content to be relevant in the present day. World of Warcraft has such good amount of content in its past that it's a shame it never gets to be used in a valuable and, let's say, engaging way. Every time we have come to expect new and new and new, and we're gonna get new for sure, but it's this pile of mega zones, dungeons, stories, quests that are just staying there.
It's just a big quantity of content, man. And sure, we could have had, let's say, new dungeons. And I agree, new dungeons and new stories would have been cool. And maybe they can take this into 10.0 and have more than just like, I don't know, 8 dungeons per the entire expansion. That would be actually cool. But until then, there's still, when you think about Mythic Plus, think about the fact that this is a repeatable type content that you're going to be doing for supposedly 2 years as an expansion runs away. Like, no matter how many dungeons they add, it will probably never be enough, because you're doing it again and again and again. And realistically, they're not going to add like 20 dungeons in expansion. That's never going to happen. So going into a direction where they can enable old content that essentially gives us access to, let's say, unlimited dungeons. Not really, but there's like dozens and dozens and dozens of dungeons that they could potentially end up making into Mythic Plus. Probably only from the more recent expansions, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, they put in Warlord, so that's a little bit far off.
Think about it this way. Now we're going to have 18 dungeons. 18 dungeons with all of these affixes. It's going to be hell. I know things will need to be balanced, probably nerfed a lot, as we've seen with the Time Walking M Plus from Legion, but at the very least, it's going to be something fresh. It's going to be something that, when it comes to replayability, it has a lot more of that factor in it, because there's just more content to go through, even though you might have done them years ago.
Speaking of replayability, and the same argument goes on this part of the situation, Mage Tower will become permanent. This is something we advocated when they did this in the time walking thing. We said so, and a lot of new players who did not catch the Mage Tower saw how challenging it could be. A lot of people complained about that. Okay, some nerfs maybe have been needed in some places. I have done the Mage Tower on my red without any before any nerfs to it, so it was possible. I know other players did so, but I do understand when it becomes too challenging, then yeah, you cannot really make everybody happy. That aside, having Mage Tower, which at this point in WoW's history is the biggest replayable and most engaging replayable content that has ever been.
That's also soloable, and it's a challenge.
Yes.
That rewards cosmetics, so not player power.
And think about the possibilities they will have for the future, making this permanent, adding more recolors to the gear, maybe new gear to be obtained with the Mage Tower, you know, for the future. This is, again, something that you can do whenever you get bored of the new season. You have done too many dungeons in the past couple of weeks. You are bored with the raid. You are bored with the arenas. You want to do something else or something in between or whatever. Things like Mage Tower are there just for that. Or maybe you just want to like master to the fullest your spec, because at the end of the day, Mage Tower is a, I would say, ultimate trial test for your spec. And it goes a long way to like mastering it and playing it really easy, stress-free. Don't get me wrong. This, again, super win. I mean, these were like 2 dubs from Blizzard back to back, which is kind of fucking shocking since they usually have 1 dub and 3 Ls, 1 dub and 5 Ls. At this point, we're kind of looking at a really good track record for, I would say, the last 2 months. I hope I'm not jinxing it. With win after win after win. There's still a lot more to be done. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe us, if you think like we're excusing Blizzard because they're not doing new content, you should check one of our previous On Cooldown videos. I'm gonna have it in the description so you can see what we think would make a great expansion for World of Warcraft. And we talk about a lot of new content, new dungeons every season, shit like that. So we're not excusing. We're expecting new content. At the same time, making this shit that was fun in the past relevant in some way currently is a dub, major dub.
I think the best takeaway out of this is that not necessarily that they're doing this content, is that these types of actions that they're taking were actions that they would have never taken before. Nobody expected them to do this kind of stuff because they were usually very stubborn about making all content available, about bringing Mage Tower back, even though we've cried for it about like what, 4 years now to have Mage Tower consistently, because you know we had challenge modes back in WoD and Mists of Pandaria as well.
Uncompatible.
So the fact that these are coming in shows more than anything a change of mentality, and that's maybe the most positive and hopeful thing that we can have for WoW. Change of mentality, because the current mentality clearly doesn't serve the game and doesn't serve the player base well so far. So we'll see where this takes us into the future.
Yeah, definitely 2 major wins. Now, I would say 1 not so major win, but hey, this is how life goes. Lore, who you might know as a forefront man of the community team from World of Warcraft, is leaving Blizzard after, I believe,
9 years.
9 years.
Yep.
And you know, it's something that, for me personally, I've kind of like looked up to Lore back in the day when he was doing, you know, tanknotes.com. He was part of the Game Breaker podcast, and he played a Red Paladin too. So I kind of looked up to him a lot back in the day, and the fact that after he was like basically a content creator and then got himself hired at Blizzard, you know, to be part of the community team while slowly moving up the ranks over there and becoming like the point of contact for a lot of, you know, content creators and websites. You know, he was the main POC for Wowhead and, you know, Tally and big streamers and stuff. And he was like really, I mean, we haven't, because we are in Europe, we haven't like had direct contact with him, but we know creators who had contact with him, and everybody just praises him for his communication and his willingness to do stuff, as opposed to what was traditionally expected from, you know, the whole Blizzard, you know, situation. He was very down to earth, very open-minded, and it is kind of sad that he's leaving. Hopefully the person who will replace him will be able to fill those big ass shoes, but nevertheless, we wish him all the best in his new adventures. Yeah, I'm pretty sure wherever he will go, he will leave a great mark over there. Well, we felt it's kind of like important to bring this up as well, because he was one of the better ones that were part of the whole, you know, World of Warcraft ecosystem. So yeah. Now, just to wrap it all up, so Season 4 coming. New expansion, mark my words, will be launched in 2023. I will happily bite my tongue. Not my thong, my tongue. So if this is not the case and they will release the expansion this year, I'm gonna happily bite my tongue. But looking at it from this angle, I'm pretty sure 2023, somewhere, as I said,
it's likely.
February.
I'm the only thing I'm iffy about is the beta being released that often, but that would mean they would have to have 2 betas in parallel, both the 9 to 5.
Well, you have to remember that there's first the cycle of the testing is first there's the Friends and Family Alpha. After that, there's the Alpha, and much later becomes the beta. So we're gonna have, and this is a good thing because we're gonna have a very extensive testing period. And if they stick by their guns and say, oh yeah, we're gonna listen, we're gonna, you know, feedback, you know, the community council, blah blah blah, then good things are to come. Mage Tower Permanent, another great win. I would say this week so far was great for World of Warcraft.
This is good. So we're being hopeful for the future. We're anxiously looking to see what comes next. It's nice to have good things happen back to back. So yay for WoW, because WoW needs as many wins as it can get.
But you know who doesn't need many wins as they can, because they always have wins? The Patreons who still supporting us. Thank you so much, guys. You're supporting the Class Guides, the MO Cast, the TLFs, the On Cooldowns, not to mention other projects that are in the works. Thank you so much for all your support on a monthly basis. This would have not been possible without you. So
we're very grateful for everything that you do for us. And listen, dear viewer, if you want to support us a little bit more and you want to find out about what the Patreon platform is and how you can get access to some goodies and also to, you know, our creative process, then you can check the link down below and you'll be sent to the greatest Patreon platform in the world.
Yes, and that's ours, Marcelian&Online. Thank you for watching the video. We shall see you on Friday with the new TLF. Really juicy one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.